My husband's freaking out. I'm freaking out because her heart rate drops again. Because I lost my mom, I can't not go home with a live baby. I can't bury my baby and my mom.
Hi, I'm Bianca Cotton, and welcome to Behind the Confident Smile, a safe space for women to reveal the truths they carry beneath their confident exteriors. Each episode features honest conversations about the struggles, challenges, and experiences that often remain hidden. In this episode, we're talking about This Wasn't the Plan. Behind countless smiles are birth stories marked by unexpected turns. In The Birth I Didn't Choose, Victoria shares her journey through an unplanned C-section, the physical pain, the emotional recovery, and the silent pressure to appear joyful despite the trauma. Joining me to discuss it all is Victoria Ivy. I just love your last name.
It's why I married my husband. Just kidding.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. So before we started talking, I did a little bit of research to find some stats, right? Mm-hmm. And one stat I saw was alarming to me, saying in 2015, 29.7 million women had unplanned C-sections globally. What? And so you were one of the 29.7 million women, right? So let's go back to, when you're a kid or in high school and, you playing with your dolls or not. I don't know if you were a Barbie fan.
I was a Barbie girl. Oh, yeah.
And you're like, one day I'm going to be a mommy. Did you have that conversation with yourself? Like, one day I'm going to be a mommy.
I actually did.
You did?
I did. You know what? When I was very young, I was satisfied with playing with Barbie dolls. But the older I got, it hit my heart. I was a babysitter in high school, and my mother had multiple sclerosis. And so I was always caring for her through different stages of both of our lives, sometimes small things, sometimes big things. But she generated that caring feeling in me to the point where I knew I wanted to do this again and for somebody else. And then the love was born in my heart, and I'm like, man, one day I'm going to have a baby that's all mine, and I'm not going to have to give them back, and I can kiss their face, because, it's a big no-no. You don't kiss other people's baby.
Right.
But so I'm going to have that one day, and the dream was born.
So the dream was born. Take us back to the day you found out you were pregnant with your little miss that you've been telling me about.
Oh, that's my spice drop. That's my spice drop. Of course, she has many nicknames because I'm that person. We've gone from Tootie to my chocolate chip, just all sorts of things. So I actually was pregnant later in life. So I was in my 30s. A friend of mine had we both got married. She got married first, and then a couple years later, I did too. And she and her husband were expecting, and we had a big gender reveal for her. And she was like, something's going on here. And I'm like, unlikely. I've taken the test. Nothing to report. Well, a couple of days pass. And just for kicks, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to take a test. And it was like 8 o'clock in the morning. And I take the test and I was like, oh, it's true. It's happening. So I put on Diana Ross, Baby Love, and woke my husband up like, it's happening. We're going to be parents. Very exciting.
Oh, super dope. Super dope. I love that you created a memory around it in that moment. So you find your OBGYN, you going to appointments, your pregnancy is advancing, and now it's showtime. What was your big day like?
Well, it was right before one of these holidays. I feel like it was Memorial Day. And in my imagination, I was going to have the baby early because I had been walking. I'd been doing everything I thought I was supposed to do except drink enough water. Girl, I could not drink enough water to save my life. However, I was doing everything leading up to it, right? So I'm walking through the pain. All of the natural things that are supposed to happen happened. You know, I lost my mucus plug, and like I said, I'm just going through. And so I packed my bag. My husband and I went to the hospital. We went in the night before. Super nice. You know, I'm thinking it's going to be a great experience. Well, we slowly started labor the night before. That next morning, they were like, well, if you're not advancing, then we're going to have to give you a little Pitocin, slide it on in there, you're going to be okay. It was not okay. And of course, my husband, bless his precious, precious heart, baby, that man came in with a large Dunkin' coffee and a bag of food and was like, oh, you okay, babe? You okay? Meanwhile, I'm fasting because you have to. And I'm like, okay, so that's how the morning starts. And so 30 hours later.
30 hours later.
Yep.
After the Pitocin was
After the
given.
Pitocin. We are, the baby's heart rate had dropped. And so I'm like, you know, what can we do? Well, at that point, I had not received my epidural. And so I'm like, okay, you know, they want me to get on all fours and hunch on the bed. That's exactly what I do. I get up, turn around, the baby's heart rate is normalized and everything is stable, and then we're fine. They don't tell me to walk around. They don't tell me to try and get things moving. They just tell me to sit in the bed. And so that's what I did. Now, of course, since then, I've seen so many different birth stories, so many different women. They're walking in the halls. They're doing things that they're supposed to do to get everything going. And meanwhile,
Because movement helps.
Movement helps. Looking back at those memories, outsider Victoria looking in, seasoned Victoria looking back, I'm like, wow, well, I should have did that, you know, but they wanted to walk with me for everything. Oh, well, you know, you can just go to the bathroom. And I'm like, meanwhile, my best friend was there. My husband was there. They could have walked with me, but nobody even gave me the option. And so fast forward, now it's 8:00 p.m. and my husband's freaking out. I'm freaking out because her heart rate drops again. And because I lost my mom at a very pinnacle point in my life, I was like, God, you know, I can't not go home with a live baby. I can't bury my baby and my mom, you know? And so I believed that he would deliver this baby. I believed that it would work out. And praise God, it did.
Yeah.
It did. I know for some women it doesn't. I've experienced the loss of a child, but he gave me the victory.
So, if we can go back to the Pitocin piece and share a little bit about what it actually is. Like, what is Pitocin, and why did the doctor say this is going to help your labor? Did they even explain that?
No. And I spoke to a friend who actually just had, you know, unfortunately a hell of a situation when she delivered her baby. And she said, you watch out for that Pitocin. Now, of course, now I remember it, it's cataloged in my mind, and I won't forget it because I've lived it, I've felt it. Like, that's definitely not something that you can play with. But they didn't tell me that one of the possibilities would be that her heart rate would drop. And I mean, you know, now working in the medical field, you know, there's risks for all sorts of things. You know, you could, I actually learned this week that in the T-zone of your face, you're not supposed to pimple pop because it is a direct, the vessels directly go through to your brain. So if there's an infection, you can die very suddenly.
Oh, wow.
Risk. There's risk everywhere. And so I get it. Like I said, now life is different. I'm now in the medical field. I see it. Back then, you know, and I'm sure they say try Pitocin because it helps for blah, blah reason.
Get the contractions going.
Yes, that was the very bare minimum. They told me the very bare minimum. It'll help your contractions. It'll start you off, you know, maybe then you can, you know, everything will happen, but it's probably going to be a C-section. Like I remember thinking back, it wasn't, I was in a very positive headspace and everybody was sort of like, well, it's probably going to be a C-section. It's just probably going to happen that way. However, you could have told me that there was a balloon that they could have blown up, which I experienced when I lost a pregnancy, to initiate delivery. They could have opened you up with this balloon, and which honestly I completely forgot until we started talking about it right now, but it all like connects. There were other options available, and I wasn't presented with those options. Then I mean, I feel like it wasn't much of a try.
Yeah.
You know, it was more of a settle. Like, we could just do this instead. But C-sections are so traumatic. They cut through layers of skin. My husband actually saw my intestines, like, and they had to remove some of it to get the baby out. Like, it was an emergency, and I'm glad that she's here, and I'm glad that she made it. But if I had known, I could have had something blown up inside of me so that we could have done it vaginally. I was so strict on that. I wanted it with all of my heart.
Yeah.
I never wanted a C-section. Who wants to go through surgery and abdominal binder for months? For me, because I had a FUPA, I have a FUPA. Like it's gone.
Right.
God bless.
It's like, we still working with it.
Right. But if I had known, you know, I wouldn't have had to have a wound vac put on. I wouldn't have had the infection that did come, you know, in the C-section scar. All of those things were avoided, or could have been avoidable.
Yeah. So let's unpack some of these layers here.
There's lots.
So you have the C-section, but at what point did the doctors and nurses say, okay, we need to take the baby out? Was it after the first rate drop, the second, like at what point in the journey?
It was the second. Everybody came rushing in. And I was just sitting in the bed, trying to rest because, you know, first of all, the hospital beds weren't comfortable. Second, I was quite plus size at the time. So we're talking like 330 pounds. And like, I'm in this bed, I'm trying to get comfortable. I've got pillows from home. I got a good attitude. I'm like, it's going to be fine. It's going to be great. We're going to have a great experience. The Pitocin will help and all will be well. I believe a good attitude will take you places. And I'm like, in this scary place, I need to have a good attitude.
Yes.
And so everybody came rushing in. They snatched my husband away, one of the older nurses. She was an older Filipino nurse. And my husband loved how aggressive she was because he was like, she directed me and everything is okay. And, you know, he was scrubbed in. He had to put on a special gown. And I completely passed out. Completely passed out. They gave me some sort of medication through my IV. I have no idea what it was. And honestly, at the point, I didn't care. Just let us all live,
Yeah.
you know? And so I completely passed out. I woke up. The room was cold. On purpose, they say, on purpose, because, cold does kill germs, so I get it. But I get that as somebody who is in the medical field now. Didn't get it then. I had my arms stretched out and taped down. Not tape, it was straps. And it was scary because I had no idea what was happening. I woke up for a split second and I was like, oh my God, why can't I move my arms? And so he was on the other side of the surgical curtain that they had. And he was like, it's going to be okay. Passed out again. Woke up again. And they were like, push. And I'm like, what is happening? They were pushing on my abdomen to get the baby out through the hole that they cut in my stomach.
Really?
Yes. Okay, so think large belly.
Right.
And then pooch underneath. There is a incision. And then my husband said that there was a nurse pushing down. And he said the baby just popped out. But he said your intestines were over there. I think that was like a spleen. He was like, all of your organs were on this table. And it sounded horrifying.
Oh my God.
Thank God they have the curtain. I would have freaked out. I'd have lost my mind. Is that my spleen?
Right. And when you gonna put it back? Like,
Is the table clean?
Right.
Good God. I have questions.
oh.
But she sure did. He said she popped right out, and they took her out, and they began to work on her, wiping her down and doing all of the things.
Right.
Meanwhile, I passed out. I woke up again, and they said, I heard them asking if she would cry or whatever. Is she breathing? Passed out again, woke up again, and I said, she's going to cry when she hears my voice, baby. And so I started talking to her, and she cried.
Oh.
And it was the most beautiful sound. It was the most beautiful sound. And I said I wanted to see her, but I couldn't hold her or anything because I was
They
strapped.
gotta put you back together.
And they do have to put you back together. And thank God for that. I need these intestines.
Wow.
I'm Curtis Tarver, inviting you to tune into the next Brothers Talking, when the brothers and I unpack the topic of Black masculinity.
What it really comes down to is, as a person, as a human, how are you creating space for the people around you?
Join the conversation Tuesday at 7 p.m. on CAN TV, cable channel 19, or stream online at cantv.org. Elevated conversation and storytelling. Experience the power of community television.
She's 7 years old now, right?
She is.
When you think back to that moment, now 7 years from it, what comes up for you?
Gratitude. Gratitude. It really did become a dream to have children. And the fact that I did get to, it's gratitude. I had a whole moment the other day and boo-hooed and wrote everything down because I remember being single. I remember taking care of everyone else's children. I remember diaper changes, baths for my nieces and nephews. I remember it all. And I remember having that longing for the miracle in the lives that I have now. Like I am in my prayers, answered. I am in that. And so gratitude. But now talking with you, something that is initiated is I would still be grateful that she's here. And I would still be grateful for the people that got her here. But would it have had to have been quite that dark and scary if we exhausted all options instead of rushing to the C-section and the Pitocin? Could it have been different?
Could have been different.
Could it have been more peaceful?
And could you have not had an infection? Like, let's talk about that. What kind of infection did you have? How long did it take to resolve? Like, what was that experience like?
So when I went home, first of all, the praise report was that I dropped 40 pounds. 40 pounds. Can you believe that? That was so, my soul was so happy. Because, the relief on your back, all of that.
Oh, yes.
So there was that. But I went home with it's called a Provena wound vac. And it's basically it looks like a sponge, a real average looking sponge, purple. And then there's a clear dressing that goes on top of it. Not a dressing, it's like a plastic, it's almost like a protectant. And basically it soaks and sucks any moisture from the wound.
Okay.
And so it keeps it dry at all times. It's sterile. It's wonderful. It's a great invention. However, one of those days, my seal broke. And looking back, the infection might have already been in there. I don't know, you know? But the slit or the opening, the incision, it was no longer than like my finger by the time I left. I had to stay in the hospital for like 5 solid days with her before they would let me go. They let us go home. I'm home. And so, all is well. I think everything's fine. I do not take anyone seriously when they say you need to have a head covering on, shoes covered, everything. I am a little rough around the edges. So I'm wearing flip-flops. I'm wearing no jacket. It's raining. It's cold outside. So, I'm thinking everything's going to be fine. Well, the next day I get home. Not the next day. I get back home and I start to feel a change in my body. And so I don't know the specific type of infection that I had, but there was drainage and I went in for my 3-day checkup. And they had to keep me. It took, I would say, 2.5 months for us to get the infection out. And for everything to be taken care of. I actually had to see a wound care specialist. I had a nurse come out to the house. And what else? And then I had to go to a doctor's office for, oh my goodness, it's at the tip of my tongue, disease control and infection disease control, an entire specialist.
Wow. So while this is happening, how are you and your husband caring for this new life? Why are you going back and forth?
Well, I am very grateful. See, the gratitude, man, it comes right back up in the throat. I was blessed with a tribe. So my aunt came to my house and she would be there during the day so that Sean could go to work. Sean is my husband. He would go to work, then come home, and then he would either come to see me in the hospital. I stayed in the hospital 7 days. So she's 3 days old. Let's put us all in the mindset. My daughter was 3 days old. She was a week old. 3 days after we brought her home, I left and I was back in the hospital. And so then, we're all exhausted, so tired, trying to find the groove of the new normal. And, looking back, I have so much adoration for my husband because he went to work during the day, came home, found something to eat or didn't, which I found out, and would care for this newborn. Had to feed her, take care of her, or come see me in the hospital because, it was so incredibly difficult to be away from her. I was so scared,
Yeah.
But I had a lovely Jennifer. She was a new friend and I was scared, and my other friends had their own families and lived an hour away from me. Everybody lived so far from me at that time in our lives. But I had a wonderful tribe that came and would be there for any doctor's appointments, and they sort of covered me.
I'm glad that you let people help you, right? Because sometimes we can say, nah, I got it, even though
You're strangled. You're like, please
you
help.
are.
I mean, I'm good.
Even though you're drowning,
Yeah.
right? And to your point, you in the hospital, so it's nothing really you can physically do anyway.
Well, you had to be real with your real. You're like, man, I guess I do need help.
So I need to wave the flag and send the smoke signals up. And I'm glad that you let people help you. I'm so happy you did that. As we wrap up our dialogue, what would be your call to action for medical professionals who are caring for expectant moms, especially expectant moms who are plus size? And there may be biases there, right?
Sure.
In terms of, we just gonna do C-section.
What I would say is, I'm a nursing student and I am a CNA right now. And what I would say is, don't get wrapped up in the mundane. Don't get wrapped up in what it is that you normally do. People do it even in my unit, where I am. I'm in orthopedic med surg. It's easy to get consumed with what normally happens, but these people are going to be mothers. They're someone's sister, they're someone's aunt. They deserve a second look. They deserve a second chance, Don't just push the C-sections. Sure, all C-sections are not tumultuous. All of them aren't as crazy as my life was at the time, because eventually I went on to have a son and another C-section infection. But that one was actually in my uterus. So it's like, what is avoidable here? What is avoidable here? How can we, in the funny words of my husband, pivot? How can we pivot? Let's try something different. It's not ideal for people to be plus size. That's true. It would be better if we, we're all one size and perfectly healthy, but unfortunately,
that's not the reality.
That's right, and that's not how God wanted us.
Man, it's beauty and all.
Amen. But I would say do the work. I would say do the work. I tried every different thing that I could so that I didn't end up with a C-section, and I still had one.
Any word of wisdom to a mom who is pregnant right now, who may be concerned about what their birth story will be?
I would say, and I've heard it several times, you have to advocate for yourself. Now, I talked about the loss of my mom a lot because I wanted to put people in the mindset that this is who I was at the time. I wasn't thinking, let me advocate for myself, let me fight for myself, not like that.
Yeah.
But if you're able, I would say fight for yourself. I would say do the research, look into it, see exactly what you want and chase it down. If you don't want the Pitocin, don't do the Pitocin. If you want that to be the very last option, try everything else. I wish I had.
Yeah. Victoria, I can't thank you enough for your testimony and the courage it took to share it. That's our time for this week. Thank you for making Behind the Confident Smile a part of your day. Let's stay connected on social media. Share your questions, comments, show ideas with me at Behind the Confident Smile Podcast on Instagram. Until we meet again, keep striving, keep smiling.